Over my 10 years of homeschooling, I've read a lot of books about homeschooling, but today I'm going to share with you my top 5 books that I recommend is on the shelf of every homeschool mom, and not only on your shelf, but also that you read it. Before we get started, welcome to my channel. My name is Leigh, and right here I share all about homeschooling, some tips and tricks, real life about homeschooling. I talk about curriculum, just the reality of homeschooling, and just all the things that I have learned over my 10 years of homeschooling. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you follow along, but let's get started on today's video. The first book I want to share is by Sally Clarkson. It's called Seasons of a Mother's Heart. And Sally Clarkson has written a lot of books, specifically about motherhood, but also homeschooling. And she has been such a source of encouragement for me. I listen to her podcast a lot. This is a bit of an older book, and then she revised it. It's not specifically for homeschoolers, but I found that the advice and the information that she provided in this really applied to a homeschooling lifestyle as opposed to a lifestyle where the kids are away at school every day. So she has it broken down to the 4 different seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, and just talking about those and how they relate to different seasons in life. So, you know, some of the seasons are when children are younger, some are when they are older, and it has just been a great source of encouragement. I have read through this book a couple of times. As you can maybe see, I've read it with friends. I have notes on the side. I have it highlighted. I have things underlined, just all the different things. It has been just really great. Sally just has a way of words of helping you, or helping me, to not feel like I'm the only one who has ever felt like this. Oftentimes as a mom and as a homeschool mom, you feel like I'm the only person that has ever felt like this. Well, you read through Sally's books and you're like, okay, it's me and Sally. We've both felt like this. She just has a way of putting things into perspective, like into an eternal perspective. And so she really gives me just a sense of calmness, and I have always felt encouraged by reading this book. So first one is Seasons of a Mother's Heart by Sally Clarkson. The second book is called Homeschool Bravely, and it is by Jamie Erickson. I had followed her, or I still follow her, like on Instagram, and follow her blog. And she finally wrote a book, and I was really excited about it, and I had to get it. Jamie's story is just really neat, and she just her words are convicting, but in a kind and encouraging way when it comes to homeschooling, and just how does this relate to our faith, and what does God say about homeschooling, and just giving you the encouragement. So if you're feeling a little not confident, you feel like you need some bravery, Jamie's going to give you some bravery here with this book. I just found it to be a source of encouragement, and I just really enjoyed reading through it. Jamie has a way of just conveying things that doesn't make it, she just is so down to earth and just realistic about things and about how life really looks. So for me, this book was really good because I could relate to her stories and her struggles, and just the ups and downs when it comes to homeschooling. The fourth book is called The 4-Hour School Day by Dorinda Wilson. Dorinda comes from a perspective of, I don't know, she has 7 or 8 kids, or maybe only 6. She's got a bunch of kids, but she only has 1 left at home. So the encouragement has come like from her perspective of her, homeschooling them all the way through, and seeing that, she just comes from, I guess, the perspective of like knowing that it works, knowing that homeschooling works, giving you some ideas. And the big takeaway that I took from this that confirmed, because it's something that I had already done, was that when my kids even were young, I would homeschool them. Like we would maybe do our formal schoolwork in the morning. Didn't even last all morning, but afternoons were off. And I love, because I started listening to Dorinda's podcast as well, and just she talks about this. Her kids just had the freedom, they had the space, they were outside most of the afternoon, and they came up with like their own village and everything. And I really related to that because that's what my kids did too. I have always been, and even now that they are older, I'm a bit of a stickler. Let's try to get our formal stuff done in the morning so that you have all afternoon to be creative, to explore your interests and all of those things. Just a ton of practical advice with like a biblical perspective in the 4-hour school day. I highly recommend it. Dorinda's been like a great source of information. She's actually fairly new to me for finding her, but I'll put all this book and recommendations I'll put in the comment section below. Okay, the fourth book is Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie. This is probably literally, well, okay. It's the first homeschool book that I still have. I think I've read other ones and have kind of passed them on, sold them, donated them somewhere. It's a very short, small book, and I actually had no intention of reading this book at all. I was at a homeschool convention, and a friend, had bought the book, and I don't know if she just bought it or read it. I think she bought it, read it, told me about it, and I was like, nah, I'm not really interested in that book. And a year later, we were again at the same homeschool convention, and she's like, oh, that's a teaching from, from Rest. She was just gushing over it. And maybe she probably was telling me about it all year long. I finally consented. I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and buy the book. This book is something that I read through before every single homeschool year. And I've had this book for, I don't know, about 7 years. I don't even know when it came out. So hopefully I'm not like saying that I've had the book longer than it was even out. But I've had this for like probably over half of my homeschool time. Well, no matter how long I've had it, it's been a great source of just simple information. And again, I read through it before every single homeschool year because I really find that it helps me just to like, okay, I can do this. All of these great grand plans that I might have aren't as important as reaching the hearts of my children and developing our relationships, working on their character. And one of the big takeaways from Sarah's book is that she has encouraged me to just like in whatever I am, like as women, as moms, as homeschooling moms, we're constantly feeling like we have to multitask. We have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do that. And in one of her stories, she's like, you're stirring, the pot of spaghetti. Just do that. You don't have to do multiple things at one time. And I find myself trying to do multiple things at one time, even if it's just listening to a podcast while I'm doing it, just being there, being present in the moment. So, okay. So number 4 is Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie. 2 thumbs up, short book. You can read it even in a day if you wanted to, or spread it over a couple days or the couple weeks before you start your homeschool year. Whether you're a new homeschooler or you are a veteran homeschooler, I highly recommend this one. Okay, are you ready for number 5? And this book is new to me. I think it's only been out for maybe a year or 2. I might be mistaken. But before I introduce this book, I just want to say that I have been homeschooling for 10 years, and I really wish that this book was out then. But to be honest, I don't know that I would have accepted it. I don't know that I would have, maybe embraced it might be the better word to use. I don't know that I would have embraced the philosophy behind it. I mean, I use the word philosophy loosely because it's not like a technical philosophy. But anyway, the number 5 book is The Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley Arment. So Wild and Free, if you've not heard of Wild and Free, I highly recommend looking them up. You can find them online, on Instagram. Their photographs are beautiful, but just the idea behind homeschooling just comes from a place of like your heart and just of peace, I guess I would say. She goes through just, everything you would need to know for homeschooling, right in here. If you're a brand new homeschooler and you are taking your child out of the public or private school, I will have to say this book might be a bit hard if your mindset is not in the right place and if your personality does not tend towards this. If you are thinking about homeschooling and you have young kids, I highly recommend reading this book. It has just been, even though we're in our 11th year of homeschooling, just getting this book right now has really just kind of helped me. And I look back now and I'm like, I really hope that I had employed some of those things. And I think that I did without necessarily knowing what Wild and Free was when my kids were younger. And if they were younger, I would definitely join up with one of their groups. I would do all of those things. So I really recommend Wild and Free. It's just a really, really neat organization of women and just coming together and just working at, filling us as moms up as well and allowing our children just to be who God has created them be. So the number 5 book is The Call of the Wild and Free. So it's a hardcover book. I did recently see that it came out as a softcover book. That's available too, and I will put all the links for all of these books. We got The Call of the Wild and Free, we've got Teaching from Rest, The 4-Hour School Day, Homeschool Bravely, and Seasons of a Mother's Heart. Top 5 books that I recommend for every homeschool mom, just to kind of get you to that place of just, again, we can feel so frazzled and so stressed, and these books all bring to me a calmness, a centeredness, a place of peace, a place of the proper perspective when it comes to homeschooling my children, and that the formal education is not necessarily the most important thing, and that this is a time that they are here in my home and we can come together as a family and form our own, unique family culture, and to just enjoy and embrace this season of life as opposed to just trying to rush through it. I hope that you have found these 5 book suggestions to be helpful to you. I will put links for them all down below. If you are thinking about homeschooling, new to homeschooling, brand new, or it's in the distance, or maybe you've been homeschooling for a little bit, I have a homeschool course. It is all about how to get started. We talk about your why, your vision, your goals, the homeschool law. We'll talk about curriculum, your styles, homeschool mom burnout, all the things. If you are interested in that, I will put a link below in the description below, and you can get started on that. I would love to be able to walk alongside you. The program is I just absolutely love it, and I wish that it was something that was available to me when I first started homeschooling. I would have known all the things so much sooner, and I would have been at a place where my mind was in the right mindset to start homeschooling. But I'll put that in the description below. But anyway, it's been fun to share these books with you, and I'll put the links below. And I would love to know if you have read any of these books and which ones are your favorite. But maybe you've not read any of these, or you have other books. I would love to know what is your favorite homeschool books. Leave that in the comments section below. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.